Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Making an Impact with Zebu Nation. Today we have for you a very special episode. This is the 2021 Major League Soccer season review. We've finally come to the end of a very long season, a very successful season. Of course, finished second place in the regular season, and then went on to win the MLS Cups in the playoffs. MLS Cup, we didn't win multiple, we just won the one. There's only one cup and we won it. And that's what this league is all about. Not 100%, but you know what I'm talking about. We won the cup. It's exciting times. Second time during this save that we've won the cup, and we're looking towards bigger and better things. But first, of course, we have to answer emails, and look at this. We finally got our scouting report for Portland, so that's good. I mean, that's really what you want from your scouts, is for them to tell you how good a team is after you've already played them. That's, top-notch scouting right there. But anyway, aside from that, we got a lot of the usual post-season emails to run through. Let's see, we got some of these awards. We're not going to look at the awards too much. We got the Montreal Impact Best 11. Interesting times here. We also got the season best 11. Oh no, that's not that. That's not. I'll look at that later. That was the MLS top 11. This is just the Montreal top 11. So of course, Thiago in goal. Taylor still out there on the left-hand side, fullback. Cabrera, Xavier has moved up into the starting lineup. Salmon is still there, right back. That's interesting. Andre and Ramos in the midfield, Petrasso on the right, Vargas on the left, still hanging out. Jackson Amell, still got that target man position. Everybody loves Jackson Amell. And then, of course, Kyle Larin up top. So, that's an interesting mix of guys who are still on the squad and guys who have moved on. Substitutes likewise, Lutweiler, Diallo, Piet, Romero, Mancosu, Duverne and Dupuis. Only one of those guys is still with the team. And got some heartbreaking news in the real world. I saw a tweet from Montreal that Nick Dupuis has been waived from the real squad. So that's too bad. The big man is going to have to move on to some greener pastures. Where's he at right now? He's still playing for Tampa Bay Rowdies. He's still big and strong, and he can still head the ball real good. Only made 2 appearances. No goals. That's terrible. After he had a good season with us in 2020. Had 21 appearances, 8 goals, 2 assists. He played well for us. Just, a little contract dispute or what have you. He didn't want to come back. He didn't want to re-sign. He wanted to go someplace where you get more playing time. And unfortunately, Tampa Bay is not the place. Unless he got injured. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But anyway, that's a good team. We got our season awards. This is always a fun email to look at. Of course, Kyle Larin, again, the fans' player of the season at 51%. A bit of a landslide there over Junior Ramos and Marco D'Alessandro. Eric Lopez with the goal of the season versus Orlando City, November 7th. Pearl Harbor Day. Day which will live in infamy. Let's see what he did. He sunk Orlando's battleship, I guess. I probably shouldn't say that. Rainy day in Montreal in November. Andre. Oh, yes, this was the playoff game, right? Yeah, that was the playoff game. Yeah, we won it 4-0 in aggregate. But yeah, that was a good goal. Outstanding shot. The ball just sort of trickled to him, and he put it in the back of the net. Signing of the season, Alberto, of course, $1 million from Gramillo. Yeah, I'd say so. He played quite a bit of the season once Petrasso got injured, and he's, one of our most talented players. Is he one of our best players? I don't know, but he's one of our most talented players. And then, of course, the young player of the year is the goal-scoring wonder kid, Matt Johnson. And speaking of that, team of the season, some interesting players on the team of the season. I guess this is voted on by the fans, I think. I'm not sure. There's some discrepancies going on here. So we got Thiago in goal, of course. Desovic, Valo, Chevalier, and Jaguar. The Millier. I never pronounced the Millier Gagier. That was throwing me off. So it's Gagier. So that's our starting defense right there. And then Agor in the midfield. And Junior Ramos with him. So that's interesting. It's an interesting pairing. I mean, I guess those two did play a significant part of the season together. But, you know, it's interesting to see a young player like Agor in there. And then in the attacking midfield, Lopez in the middle, D'Alessandro on the right, Mane on the left. So, you know, as much as people liked our signing of Alberto, they didn't put him into the team of the season. And likewise, Kyle Larin, not in the team of the season. Instead, we got Johnson up top. So that's odd. That's, you know, to have your number one striker not on the team of the season. It's weird. Very weird. All right, the fans are fickle. I mean, Matt Johnson earned it, right? Top goal scorer for the season. 18 goals on the season. Highest average rating is our goalkeeper? That seems odd. I don't know that I've ever seen that. Thiago as our highest average rated player. That's nuts. D'Alessandro with 14 assists on the season. Agor with the best pass percentage. I mean, that's why we brought him in, right? We brought him in to be that deep-lying playmaker. And, you know, he played that role. So good on him, good on us, good on the scouts. Everybody working together to make that player successful. Most players of the match, Matt Johnson. Most yellow cards, of course, Desovic. Our fullbacks were just crushing people this year. And then worst discipline, Bosic. Bosic played like one game this season, got a red card. Now, he had 13 appearances, but still. Still, he didn't play much this season, and when he did, he was killing fools. So, yeah. Good, a good season. Look at our records. We don't look at these very often. Kyle Larin still with the goal-scoring record at 20, but Matt Johnson nearly got there, 18. He's now the second most prolific goal scorer in a season. That's pretty good. Most league goals in a season, Kyle Larin still with the record 19. Most goals in a match, Matt Johnson had the most on the season, had a hat trick. Kyle Larin had 4. That 2020 season was pretty special for Kyle Larin. He scored lots of goals. Most assists, D'Alessandro set the record this year, at least, you know, for our term here at Montreal. He set the record with 14 assists. Youngest player, Miguel Valenzuela, played this year at 17 years old, 156 days. So, yeah, we've played a lot of youngsters in this save. All right, what are we doing here? Let's continue on with the emails. End of season confidence review from the board. Looking pretty good with the leadership, 60%. I mean, we won the cup, and all we get is 60%. Whatever. They're not happy that we lost to Toronto in the last game of the season. I can understand that, but still, got to look ahead. You got to think about what we've done, and we've done some pretty good stuff. All right, season injury report. Duverne was our big injury. I mean, he's our designated player. He's our best, most talented player, and he was out for 5 months. Romero out. Andre Carrera not so much. Ferreira, Mendez, broken jaw. Gomez, you know, a lot of these guys weren't really missed that much. Kyle Larin, of course. Bosic, we could have used Bosic, but we had other guys to fill in for him. Raheem Edwards, likewise, could have used him. He was only out for 7 weeks, but still, we could have used him in certain places. Didn't matter that much. We had a lot of depth at the wing position. So, even though we had a lot of injuries on this list, not many significant injuries. I mean, the most significant injury, other than Duverne, Andre was out for a while, but we had a backup ready to go for him. And then Kyle Larin was out for a few weeks, and that hurt us, sort of, but that allowed our main man to get in a groove and score all of his goals as a youngster. So, depth paid off this season. There's just no way around it. Training summary, this is always sort of, this is it. I mean, I never really look at these very much. We had some impressive performances. Valo, Agor, Benzaza, Garner had some impressive performances. Concerning training performances is, of course, the old and the injured Romero, Andre, Horvath, and Duverne. All of them either old or injured or both. So they had, of course, troubling performances. We started the season as we normally do at 5 weeks away, so that's fine. Alberto has changed his mind. He was looking at bigger clubs, but he's realized that no bigger clubs are interested in his service, so he's happy to stay here. That's good. We got hit with a little bit of a tax because we made some money this year. Tax bill of around $1.7 million. That's fine. Speaking of financial, we can look at our commercial summary here. Sponsorships are on the climb. $6.21 million. Corporate and hospitality are down for some reason. Match day and commercial retail down a little bit as well. Same with broadcast revenue. Strange. We got $200,000 for our prize money. That's good. And then top selling jerseys. This is always fun to look at. Kyle Laren, of course, number 1. Alberto, number 2 on the jersey list. He was the hot prospect when we brought him in. He was the new signee, so that's understandable. D'Alessandro, Ramos, Petrasso, those are all fine additions to anybody's wardrobe. So yeah, that's good. We sold 12,674 jerseys. Total merchandise for the season, $1.88 million in domestic sales. That's pretty good. Only $188,000 in non-domestic sales. So that, to me, that looks like just sort of a straight percentage, right? Like 10%. FM, you're not hiding your stats very well, not hiding the gears and mechanisms that run this little steamship very well. But anyway, that's fine. That's fine. New scouting budget. I guess we'll give them some money. Maybe they'll scout people this year. We'll see. But the big news: stadium expansion plans have been announced. This is always fun. I like it. Building new stadiums, expanding stadiums, building new sections and grounds and all that stuff. The board has announced plans to enlarge the stadium by 4,750 seats. An estimated cost around $11.5 million. That's quite a bit, but we've got that in the bank, so that's no problem. It's expected that this expansion will take around 3 months to complete. Grounds capacity will be temporarily reduced. So when are they going to start this? They're going to start it in December. I don't think so. I don't think you start construction in Montreal in December. It's not a good idea. So we'll see if this project gets delayed, which it probably will, but we'll see. We'll see. Anything else we need to look at here? I don't think so. We can just run down the checklist real quick. The Impact Academy, we have not had our youth intake yet. We'll have that special during the off-season special. We'll look at the youth intake. But so far, not a lot going on. We got one okay prospect here, Oscar Holdridge, 18 years old. He says he's a central defender, but if we're going to get any use out of this guy, we would have to retrain him as a defensive midfielder, because 7 jumping reach just ain't going to cut it back there. He does have 12 pace. He does have 11 tackling, so he's definitely more of a defensive midfielder type dude, and I believe we are training him up to be a defensive midfielder, so we'll see. Then we've got some marginal prospects here. Eric Robinson, central defender, 17 years old. He's a better central defender prospect. He's a little slow, but he's very big, 6'4", 13 jumping reach, 13 strength, 15 tackling, and 17 aggression, though. This young man might get a little out of control. We got Maxime Argento, striker. Target man, only 5'10", only 9 jumping reach, only 11 heading. Probably not a great prospect, but he's got a little bit of potential. And then the final guy, Xavier Aubrey, why was I saying 13 years old? 17 years old. Another central defender prospect. Another guy who's got some issues. He's only 5'11", only 11 jumping reach. Marking of 8. So far, he shoots with power for some reason. He's unambitious. So prospects are a little thin right now. So we're going to need a really good youth intake coming up. All right, we get to our finances. We looked at a lot of stuff. We got $18 million in the bank, so we got approximately 11. Half of that is earmarked toward the stadium expansion. So finances are going to be a little slim in the future, but still got $6 million to play with. That's fine. 2.8 of that is in transfer money. Very good with that. I mean, that's more than enough than we usually need. Although this season we could go a little hog wild. We could bring somebody in. We've got a lot of payroll. You know, we got $8 million in payroll available. So we could bring in some big boys if we wanted to. We got a lot of league-specific money to play around with. $950,000 in general allocation money, 1.7 in targeted allocation. So we could bring in a guy on, you know, a $1 million contract, pay it down with the targeted allocation money, and slip him in under the salary cap. Could be interesting times with Montreal. We'll see. See what we can do. Oh, I hit continue. Didn't want to do that. We still got stuff to look at. Board, we looked at this a little bit. Very secure at 60%. I guess that's the dividing line between secure and very secure is 60%. So that's good. In recent years, we've improved the training facilities, affiliates, data analysts. We're now expanding the ground, so we got lots of stuff that the board has done for us. That's good. Club, we can take a look at our club news. We're still a 3-star. I mean, MLS teams don't get much better than 3 stars no matter how much you win. So we don't really have much to look at there. We can look at our club news. We got some interesting stuff going on here. Of course, we controlled the Timbers and brushed them aside in the MLS Cup. There's the victory celebration we were looking for. They didn't give it to us on the field, but they gave it to us on paper, I guess. MLS Best 11 announced. Look at this. We got lots of guys here in the MLS Best 11 for the season. Of course, in goal, Andre Blake from Portland. We saw how good he was, even though we scored 3 goals against him. It was difficult sledding. I mean, we put a lot of shots on that guy, and he stopped a lot of them. And, so good on Andre Blake. Glad he's out there in the Western Conference, so we don't have to deal with him 2 or 3 times a season, just the once. Long from San Jose, and I was going to say Ike Opara, but it's Kofi Opara from Minnesota. 31-year-old Canadian. Playing for LA Gal. He started his season in Michigan Bucks, and Detroit City before moving to LA, DC, Minnesota. He's had quite the MLS career, and near the end of it, he's managed to make the MLS Best 11, so good on him. Ramirez on the left-hand side, of course, the Colorado guy. He had so many good games, and then a lot of our players. Well, we forgot Xavier on defense. Xavier made the Best 11. That's an interesting little tidbit there for him. Lopez. That's wild that Lopez, he didn't play a ton this season. I mean, he had pretty good. 28 appearances, I guess, is pretty good. 3 goals, 4 assists, 7.09. Very much recognized by MLS as being a top player, even though we've kind of taken him for granted a little bit, I think. We still think of him as the young guy. But now he's up there with Junior Ramos and D'Alessandro in the midfield. And then Johnson wins Best 11 up there at the striker. Of course, joining Garcia from Colorado, the man who set the goal-scoring record this season. 30 goals total on the season. That's crazy. Yeson Garcia. Good man, good man. I mean, I guess we can look at the stats. Not much else we need to look at. Obviously, transfers, we haven't started any of that stuff. Roster management season opens in like a day or two, so we can't do anything until then. Seen all of this stuff. So we can take a look quickly at our season stats. Thiago with the most appearances at 39. Ramos up there, 31, and D'Alessandro with 30. Anytime you got positional players with more than 30 starts in a season, that's pretty good. Those guys are Iron Men. Especially those 2 guys who ran up and down the field all day long. And, D'Alessandro's a little older, so he showed that fitness for an older guy. He still got up and down the field pretty well. Desovic was out there for 26 games. Valo, likewise, he played basically the whole season. Laren, surprisingly, 26 games. You think of him as, season in and season out, not getting enough games, but 26 games is pretty good. I think we're just looking at regular season here, too, right? The stats, competitions, just in the league. Yeah, so pretty good. 26 appearances, 2 off the bench for some reason. Xavier with 26, Lopez. So we had a lot of guys play a lot of games this season. That's very good. Very happy about that. Of course, goals. Johnson with 18. Brun with 15 out on loan. We got to think about this young man, bringing him in and giving him some shots. He is a 2-star player. Yeah, I don't know. He's an advanced forward, not a lot of pace. He's got good acceleration. Maybe we could make him a poacher. He is ambitious. That's good. He needs some work. He's got, a little bit of potential. He's got a dark 4th star there that maybe he could reach. But I don't know. Right now he's a borderline prospect, but he's playing well. 15 goals out on loan, so that's pretty good. Tied Kyle Laren, 15 goals for the number 1 team. And then goals dropped off from there. So you can see we're a very striker-oriented offense. After those 2 guys who got, more goals combined than the rest of the team, we drop all the way down to Mane with 5 goals, playing in only 13 games as a starter, so that's pretty good. Mendez with 4 goals. Petrasso was looking to have a pretty good season before he got injured. He already had 4 goals and 2 assists on the season in just 11 games, so that's pretty good. D'Alessandro, 3 goals. Alberto, Lopez. We got a lot of goals from a lot of different places, but majority of the goals came from our top 2 strikers, of course. And then assists, D'Alessandro with those 14 assists we saw earlier. Brun added 6 assists to his 15 goals, so he was the main man for the team that he went out on loan for. Laren with 6 assists. Junior Ramos with 6 assists. We had a lot of assists this season as well. Alberto, Johnson, Lopez, all with 4. Mane with 3, and then several with 2 and 1. So we're looking pretty good. Pass percentage, Marcus Daniels, the youngster, the academy player. 18 years old. Nice vision, nice passing, and he showed it off in the 1 game that he played. 93% pass completion, so that's what you want. And then, of course, Agor was the top man in terms of regular players, 88% passing. Shamit Shom had some good passing games while he was in there, only played 9 total games. Andre, 83% is okay. Ramos, 82%. And then it sort of goes downhill from there. We're not a great passing team, but, we make it work. Of course, yellow cards, we know who this is going to be. Look at that. Desovic and Valo with 20 yellow cards combined. Only 1 red card, though, so they were at least smart about it. Unlike Bosic, 3 yellows and a red, so he just went yellow, yellow, yellow. You're out. Red card. Xavier with 3, Agor with 3. So after those 2 knuckleheads at fullback, the rest of the guys were, fairly reasonable about their yellow cards. And then the only 2 red cards on the season. That you can't be too upset about that, especially with all those yellows. They found a way to make it work. Barbier played very well out on loan, but he only played in 3 total games, so you can't really do much about that. I mean, sort of a waste of sending him out on loan to Ottawa. I guess he got a little stronger. He worked out in their weight room for a while, but sort of a lost season for Kenrick. But Matt Johnson, 7.58. Only 15 starts. That's crazy. 18 goals and 15 starts. Anyway, we've talked enough about him. Mane up there with 7.2 rating. Kyle Laren was our top player in terms of most appearances with the highest rating. So that's something you'd expect. And then, of course, D'Alessandro, Ramos, and Lopez. You combine them together, you get Romez. But yeah, you'd expect those guys to be at the top of the list, and they were. So the only other thing we can look at here is we can look at the league, look at some league stats, and see how everybody finished. Of course, we know that Garcia finished top of the league, 30 goals, age 20 from Colombia. Veron from DC United came in second place at 24 goals. Will Keane again from Colorado. So Colorado scored 50 goals this season. More than 50 goals this season. Just those two players alone scored 50 goals. That's crazy. Those are hockey numbers. Have somebody scoring close to 50 goals. It's crazy. But yeah, he finished 21 goals on the season. And then Matt Johnson, after that fantastic run in the MLS Cup, finished with 18 goals on the season for 4th place. And Kyle Aaron snuck into 8th place with 15 goals on the season. He had a very good playoff run as well. So those two guys came up big during the big times, and that's what we need. Most assists, D'Alessandro notched in at 6th place with 14 assists. Pierre De Silva with San Jose, an assist machine with 23. This guy's got a nice pace, only 23 years old, only valued at $115,000 on a minimum team contract at $55,000, but yet playing on the first team. Let's hope this kid gets a raise, because he definitely looks like he deserves it. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of potential. That could be his issues. But he's got nice technicals. He's got nice mentals. He's got speed. And he's got some player traits. Places shots. Attempts his overhead kicks. Runs with the ball. So it's a talented-looking kid. They should definitely give him a new contract. If not, we'll keep an eye on this guy. When does his contract run out? It runs out like now. So we'll keep an eye on this guy. See if we see him in the waiver draft. Might pick him up. Will Keane, of course, 19 assists to go with his however many goals he had. Go with his 21 goals. Just a crazy, outstanding season. And he didn't even make the best 11, which was the weirdest thing. It was like De Silva beat him out for the winger, and his own teammate Garcia beat him out for the striker position. So, just out of luck for Will Keane in terms of recognition, but on the field, man, he crushed it. David Acosta up there. Juan Ramirez, another Colorado player. 15 assists for that guy. Yeah. So good games. Distance run, D'Alessandro, Ramos, Lopez, all in the top 10 for distance run. That's pretty good. Key tackles, Mabiala up top. There's another Colorado player, Danny Wilson and Tommy Smith. 2 more Colorado players in there. Nick Hagglund, the old fella from Minnesota. How old is he now? 29. He's not that old. Had a good season defensively, so good on him. Least concessions, Thiago let through a lot of goals in the playoffs. Not a lot, but more than he had been letting through. And that dropped him way down on the list. Tied for 7th with that man Vermeer, the guy that we paste on a regular basis. So that's, not great to be tied with him from our point of view, but from the rest of the league's point of view, he's a good goalkeeper. Just we have his number for whatever reason. Nielsen, number 1 in the league for LA. Only 31 goals allowed in 29 appearances. That's really good. McCarthy, Clint Irwin, Andre Blake, Zach Steffen. So a lot of guys that you would expect to see on that list. Most shutouts, Bingham from FC Dallas. 18 shutouts in 37 appearances. And then Thiago, 16 shutouts in 39 appearances. So pretty good. Second on the league in shutouts. Gonzalez up there, who moved to Minnesota. Irwin, Vermeer. So a lot of the same names at the top of that list. Most tackles, Cristiano from Sporting KC. 6.7 tackles a game. A tackling machine. 30-year-old Brazilian. Probably like 13 or 14 tackling. We can't quite tell at this moment. But pretty good. Desovic on the list. Interesting. 5.67 tackles per game. So that's good. Most dribbles. Who cares? D'Alessandro's up there. A little bit of dribble-happy man. Most key passes. Acosta. Ramirez. Nobody from our team on this list. Because like I said, not a very good passing team. And then most shots on target. This is what we want. Look at that, Johnny Russell. Sporting KC, the Scotsman, 31 years old now. Getting a little bit long in the tooth up there, but still putting shots on goal. Michael Bradley, second place for FC Dallas, having a little bit of resurgence in his career at 34 years old. Will Keane, of course. Gomez from Vancouver. Oh, yeah, the big German target man up there. Just stand in front of goal. Oh, he must have retired. Yeah. So he had a good season in his retirement season. And then our two fellas, Johnson and D'Alessandro, 57 and 58% shots on target. So that's pretty good. I'd like to see more of the team up there, but what are you going to do? Is there anything else that we really need to look at? Team stats maybe real quickly. Of course, Colorado scored the most goals, 72. We were 5th place. That's pretty good. Most headers completed, we were not on the list. Average possession, of course, we're not on this list. We bang it forward. None of this keeping possession stuff. But San Jose played a possession style. Colorado, 7th in the league in possession, I guess. Most tackles won. This is interesting. So we do play an aggressive defense. We push forward. We don't get stuck in necessarily, but we do mark tightly. So we got 80% of our tackles. It's pretty good. Total tackles, 813. Not the most tackles in the league by far, but just the best percentage, so that's okay. Least concession, of course, LA with all those shutouts, and Houston also with a lot of shutouts, and Montreal with a lot of shutouts. So we finished pretty good. So that's tied for 4th in the league in least concessions and 5th in the league in most goals. So that's a pretty good average offense to defense. FC Dallas, most shutouts in the league. Montreal, 2nd. It's pretty good. Most fouls. I'm surprised we're not on this list, but it shows you just how aggressive our fullbacks play, where they were like top 5 in the league in fouls, but the rest of our team is nowhere to be found. So I guess that's good. You know, those guys are young. They'll learn. They'll get more experience and maybe not foul as much. Crosses completed, not on this list. Hitting the target, 6th in the league. That's okay. I'd still rather be closer to 45%. You know, 2% doesn't seem like much of a difference, but when you're, shooting the ball 200 times, that's like, 20 more shots on goal, 40 more shots on goal, whatever. Mathematics works out to be, it's still a lot more shots on goal, and we would rather have that than not. All right. I don't know that there's much else to look at. We're going to be looking at our staff in the offseason, of course. Some contracts are coming up. Scouts are of great interest. We gotta work with them. See who we can, maybe improve or get rid of or whatever. We just got to work on organizing them a little bit better so that they actually do what we want them to do and maybe not get caught up so much in just finding a shiny player and saying, ooh, scout that guy, ooh, scout that guy, scout that guy. Instead, maybe go with a more systematic approach. So we'll see about that. Yeah, not much else, I think, to look at. Oh, contracts. I guess we got some contracts coming up that we're definitely going to be thinking about. Whether, we're going to keep the core of this team together, of course. We got a lot of contracts coming up. Romero, Edwards, Horvath coming up. Marikal. A lot of our guys who went out on loan. Putna, Matic, Brun. We looked at him before. Barbier, again. Another youngster, Mitrovic. Jean, quarantine blank. So a lot of those young guys that we picked up from the academy, their contracts are starting to run out. And the question is, do we re-sign them or not? Pantami, Daniels. So it's a lot of young guys' contracts, a couple of old guys. I mean, Romero, Edwards, and Horvath are probably gone. We don't necessarily need any 3 of them. Romero's close to retirement. Edwards wants a new challenge. Horvath is just, utterly replaceable at 34 years old. As the reserve keeper, no problems. But then it's just a matter of which of these young guys do we keep or don't. Clear the benches. We got a lot of draft picks this season, so we're going to have some new draftees coming in. And then it's a matter of, who do we spend big bucks on? Do we spend big bucks on people? We got people coming back from injury, of course. Petrasso. Duverne. I don't know. We got stuff to think about this offseason. So we're going to work on that, and we're going to come back then. So until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.